Obtaining 10x rewards. Reincarnated into a novel as a side character. By winterdragon_1. Chapter 21. Should we wait for some more time for him to stabilize? We can, but looking at him, I doubt there would be any difference. I can sense his body and mind have healed perfectly. Then what should we do? We have already used an elixir, but if we don't dig out the source of this all, then we could not prevent such events in the future. For now, tighten the security of the young master's courtyard. Order the guards to be vigilant at all times and not leave him alone even if he asks so. Dispatch a team of investigators to find clues, and one of you go and check the barrier to see if there's something wrong with it. The elder paused, looking at the second young master. He further added, explain what happened to him and see if there's any reaction. With that, he left in a hurry, confusing the others. After coming out of the room, he stroked his chin as he looked at the surroundings. He wondered to himself in a somewhat serious manner. What's going on? A healing elixir is something that can bring back a person from the brink of death, but why was he not able to remember what happened? How can an elixir be ineffective? The elder pondered for some time. He had a bad premonition about something. Some days ago, the clan elites sensed a strange and ominous phenomena. It was so disturbing that the respected clan guardian personally went to check on it, which clearly meant that it was dangerous enough to be harmful to them. But then a few minutes later, the strange phenomena suddenly vanished as if it never existed in the first place. The clan guardian also did not say anything much on the topic and asked everyone to ignore it. Many of the clan members were unsettled by this and wanted to investigate it further. However, no one wanted to oppose the guardian. After the clan head and their wife, the clan guardian held the highest authority. She has been overseeing the clan since ancient times. She's powerful and has incomprehensible powers. They did not doubt that she could not handle the strange phenomenon, but for her to not discuss a word about it with any of them made the elites restless. And now this happened with the second young master, something that cannot even be healed with a healing elixir. This is making me feel stressed. He muttered, as he pondered his actions. Now that someone from the clan was affected by something unknown, he can probably no longer obey the clan guardian. I would need to discuss it with others, and do something. The clan guardian must not know about this, otherwise it would be a direct challenge to her. He had to do it. A power that can even defy the effects of elixir was not something one would see commonly. It was a sign of something big happening. His eyes shone, and with a flick of his finger, he disappeared from the courtyard. A few weeks later. Oliver was in his courtyard lifting weights. Not only that, in the back of his house, there were many equipment machines for physical exercise and strength training. He had requested the clan to provide him with these. They were just ordinary gym equipment he could think of from his previous world. This new world and his last world were quite similar in many things. This world was advanced in some aspects as well backward in other aspects compared to his last world. He was holding the weights in one hand while in his other hand, he was carrying a notebook with some notes scribbled on its neat white pages. The power ranking system in this world is exactly as I remember it to be from the novel. He flipped a page as he scanned through the contents. Exorcists are majorly categorized based on some crucial factors such as their aspera level, combat skills, and purification techniques. Apart from that, there are factors like formal training and field experience that are given in specialized academies. Oliver put the weights in his hand down as he read further. Exorcists could also be broadly classified into three categories. First are those who rely on their aspera, second are the ones who rely on their physical powers, and third are the ones who rely on artifacts and tools. He closed the notebook as he changed his clothes. For now, I need to quickly rise through the ranks. The exorcists are ranked into 7 levels. Rank 1 to rank 7. Rank 1 being considered the newcomers to the exorcist world, just beginning their training and having a basic amount of knowledge about spiritual combat and purification techniques. These exorcists have no particular exorcism style and typically work under the high-ranking exorcists. Rank 2 being the next step as they solidify their foundations on purification techniques and combat styles. They usually undergo rigorous training, and this stage has always been considered tough for beginners. They can handle minor demons. Rank 3 exorcists are one step ahead, able to operate independently without the supervision of a high-ranking exorcist and handle low to mid-level demons. Rank 4 exorcists are even more advanced, capable of dealing with high-ranking demons. Rank 5 level exorcists are in charge of leading other exorcists in wars, missions, and dealing with catastrophic demons. The later level exorcists are legendary beings. It was rumored that the clan heads of the 5 clans belonged to these stages. Of course, it's unknown how these levels operate and how many of such exorcists exist. Creak. Zippy, I am going out to the market. I will bring you some meat. Meow. Oliver announced and left the courtyard. He had some things he wanted to purchase from the clan's market. His goal was quite simple. It was to use his special eyes to cheat through the market. In the novels he used to read, he was always fascinated by the protagonists who had special abilities to distinguish treasures among trash. Now that he had such means himself, there was no way he was going to be passing on such an opportunity. It was a great opportunity to collect some rare artifact to further ensure his future and, if possible, look for something to fasten Nadia's growth as well. Chapter 22. He knew that there was no lack of treasures in this world. There were many things that were wasted or left unnoticed throughout the novel. It wouldn't be a problem if he could find them and use them for his own benefits. He was inherently weak, and obtaining tools and artifacts should ensure his future safety. He didn't even think about giving them to Nadia. It was more like he can't give them to her even if he wanted to. The reason was simple yet had a complex explanation. Nadia would grow suspicious of him. First, he finds her a damn elixir out of nowhere and then provides her with all sorts of artifacts and techniques. She would not hesitate to either interrogate him herself or report to the clan. It did not matter if he and she shared the same blood. At that time, he would be suspected of being a heretic or colluding with someone suspicious and would then be subjected to torture to spit everything he knows. So naturally, he cannot afford to provide her with anything he found. He can only keep it in moderation and take it slowly so he continues to maintain a smooth relationship with her and grow stronger himself. Also, I need to be selective of what I give her. I should focus on what aspect I want to improve on and then provide her with an aid in that area. This way I can obtain tenfold benefits. He grinned as he mused about the future. Underscore 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 underscore. Under the heart of the clan's fortress, nestled this shady market where he was going to visit. Over time, the market became a labyrinth, with countless shops and hidden corners. There were various kinds of goods, ranging from the mundane to the mystical. Forged weapons, enchanted tools for exorcism, scrolls containing various martial arts techniques, or even mysterious treasure maps. One could find anything in this market if one had the eyes to find them. Merchants wander around the market, hoping to hawk their wares to the clan members. Of course, among these treasures, there would be the occasional fake or useless trinket, so buyers had to be cautious. The market was rooted deeply in the clan and was specially managed by some of the top people of the clan. It was huge. It was not an exaggeration to say it was like a labyrinth itself. And why wouldn't it be? The clan had been established for centuries, generations after generations had gone by, leaving behind their marks. Not to mention, this was a clan famous for its exorcists. Where there were exorcists, there were riches. It was a famous line among the merchant circle, so it was no surprise that each clan had its own extensive network of supplies. Merchants would have to avail themselves of a special pass to be able to enter the clan and set up their business there, which involved a strict and tough background check. Oliver felt like it was quite similar to how the passport system worked in his previous world. Well, at least he compared the two for his own ease of understanding. There were times when shady people would also get in to do business, which was why Oliver referred to the market as a shady market. The clan didn't interfere in the market unless absolutely necessary. The things inside the market stayed inside the market. This was the clan's simple statement. As long as the clan's official activities were not hindered or bothered in any way, the market was free to operate as they wanted. Any hindrances would not be tolerated. The clan followed a zero-tolerance policy. As long as the market thrived and kept making the clan a portion of profits, the clan would ensure security and provide other services. Respecting the decades of relationship clan shared with the various people in the market, they allowed them to do things freely even if it was slightly illegal. But what goes inside the market had nothing to do with the clan, so long as they don't interfere with the clan activities. His clan was really money-hungry. 2 big open gates marked the entrance to this market. They were tall and imposing and had 2 guards in uniforms stationed there. Oliver looked at their uniform and immediately knew they were low-rank exorcists, either performing part-time missions or were helping their supervisors. The guards at the entrance of the market had stiff expressions and were keenly maintaining a view on the surroundings. They were assigned to maintain balance, not let anyone cause too much trouble around. Although no one would dare to spread chaos in the clan, there were still some idiots who would do stupid things against clan rules from time to time. Oliver approached them with brisk steps. His temperament was great. The guards narrowed their eyes. White hair. Someone from the main family had come to visit the marketplace. But they had a ringing question in their minds. Who is he? They had never seen this young master before. Still, they did not dare be negligent and immediately rushed to him. Sir. Young master, greetings. The guards bowed as they greeted him with respect. Although they did not know who he was, his white hair was a symbol of respect. No one in the clan who had white hair was ordinary. They all had extraordinary backgrounds and powers behind them. Oliver nodded simply. I have some things to look for. Don't mind me. The 2 guards looked at each other with somewhat complicated expressions. How could they not mind? If something were to happen or someone were to offend him, then they would suffer grave consequences for not looking after him. Oliver understood this, so he said, Don't worry, I have my guards watching over. You 2 won't be held responsible. He said this in order to not have anyone following after him secretly. If he left as it was, then there was no doubt that one of them would come after him secretly, and he did not want anyone observing his findings and actions. Hearing this, the guards relaxed as they nodded. All right, feel free to call us if you need something, young master. They felt that this young master was quite smart and understood their worries. With that, he left towards the market. Chapter 23. Buy 2 get 1 free. Why stop at cluttering your life with just 2 unnecessary items when you can have a 3rd for free, cluttering guaranteed? Scram. I refuse to be fooled. You are secretly trying to make me pay for the 3rd invisible item. The shops were lively with customers bickering with the shop owners. There were shops arranged neatly, as one would expect from a festive market in his previous world. Oliver also realized something while strolling around. Although the clan was famous for its ruthless and crazy exorcists, in the end, it was still a clan that had always stood up for humanity against the demons. The normal people inside were happy and healthy. Proper sanitation was maintained throughout the place. It looks like only those who belong to or are associated with the main family are the crazy ones. He wondered. There was not much specification in the novel when he was reading it. It was just mentioned that the Mystic Purge clan was extremely violent, ruthless, and vicious to their enemies, so much so they are feared even among humans. But looking at the lively market situated in the heart of the clan made him doubt the words he had read. He sighed and focused on what his purpose of the visit was. In the next moment, his eyes changed. A mysterious glint passed through his amethyst eyes, slowly shifting its color to something else. It shifted from a light greenish blue to a bleached purple. The world in his eyes changed. Everything became visible to him, whether hidden or not. He looked at a passerby, but what he saw was not a human, but a walking skeleton. Oliver was able to vividly see all the 206 bones inside the person clearly. Not only that, he could also see the amount of esper present inside the person's body. Focusing more on his eyes, the scene once again changed, and although diluted, he was now seeing the person's blood vessels, their muscles, flesh beneath the skin. Although the bony structure was no longer visible, he could see more complex details. It was like layers in a body. Suppose the atomic and cellular constitution of a person is considered layer 0, then comes the skeletal and tissue layer above it, which could be said to be layer 1. Above that should be the muscular and vascular, where organs, vessels, and other major human body parts become visible to him. He decided not to view the layer 0 for the moment, as he could feel the eyes were quite exhausting to use, and he had a lot to use them for, so he took it slow. He did not have enough mastery and training to control the special eyes, so he could only compromise at the moment and use them frugally. For now, he limited himself to only see through when necessary, hopefully not needing him to use deeper than layer 2. "Oh. Young man, would you like to buy something? I saw you standing here for some time." A voice interrupted his thoughts as he looked at the man beside him. It was a man with a large bushy brown beard covering his face. He had black eyes and looked quite average. From his clothing style, Oliver realized he was a shopkeeper. His clothing style was foreign and did not align with the clan's traditional style of clothes. "That's right. I was looking for some things casually." "Oh, then sir, would you like to come see my shop? I have plenty of good things for exorcists. From your refined attire, I am sure you are a distinguished exorcist yourself." The bearded man started buttering up as he praised Oliver's style. "What do you sell? Show me." Since Oliver was here to buy some useful things, he decided to follow the man to his shop. There were many shop owners who would come out to attract customers. Actually, after watching Nadia's humongous talent and getting beaten by his siblings, Oliver felt he was quite vulnerable. Despite the system, he did not feel assured at all. The system only provided him with rewards at random times, which was not ideal. It would only provide the benefits when his target achieved a milestone in their training. He had to use his own strength to counter threats he might face. So he must be prepared. He has already received a tenfold strength boost, so he should at least train himself according to how an exorcist on the physical path would, for now at least. And apart from the system, the best strength he had was his knowledge from the novel, which was the knowledge about the future of this world. What was the use of it all if he could not even use that knowledge to his advantage? "I may be a side character, but I am not that useless." Creak. The man took him to a decent-looking shop, which was likely a shop. The interior was quite spacious and looked clean. "Here it is, buy anything you like. If you buy in bulk, I will even give you a good discount." Looking around, he saw many things. Firearms, cold weapons, medication, books, potions, exorcism tools, neatly arranged scrolls, and some random materials and substances placed in glass boxes. This was an all-purpose store. His pockets suddenly trembled a little. Although he was one of the young masters of the clan, his budget was definitely not young master-like. Of course, he had asked for some money from the clan a while ago and thus was allotted some amount by the supervising maid, but he felt it was not enough at all. From his knowledge, all the young heirs of the clan were showered in riches. And not to mention Nadia, who could buy anything she wanted with just a word. "Fuck. I feel like a beggar." He could not help but exclaim. "I need to prepare a source of money for myself soon. I can't be dependent on the clan always." Oliver frowned. He had many ideas in his mind that he would be developing in the future, and many of his ideas required massive funds to even start. He needed money. The human world had adapted a common currency, which was called Nedden. For comparisons, a loaf of bread costs around 1 Nedden. Sigh, money is always the problem. Oliver scanned the shop items for something he might be interested in. "What's that book about?" He suddenly pointed at a book in a brownish cover. The shop owner looked over with keen eyes and told. "Ah, that book is a..." Chapter 24. "Ah, that book is a martial arts book." It records a decent martial art technique focused on movements. It's called 6 Thoughtful Steps of the Spirits. So it was that. Oliver raised a brow as he pretended to be in thought. In reality, the martial art technique focusing on movement was a common technique that could be found in multiple places. There was nothing special about it in the eyes of normal exorcists. They could find copies of this martial art distributed around the human territories. It was a decent technique to learn and master, and undoubtedly, it helped many exorcists who mastered it. But what people didn't know was that this was an incomplete technique. In fact, this martial art technique was a part that belonged to an important technique in the story. The technique was called spirit stretch. An unbelievably fast movement technique that spirits of the world used to travel. This technique needed to be joined with other parts of the main technique in order for all the conditions to be fulfilled. What was even more absurd was that someone was able to complete this due to a very strange reason. In the novel, a character in the Academy arc was able to collect all the parts of this technique and received spirit stretch directly from the spirits. How was he able to achieve that? It was all thanks to his severe obsession with anything related to spirits. It was borderline disgusting, but in a world where wars and demons were rampant, no one cared for some exorcists' weird fetishes. I will take this. Oliver told the shop owner, getting spirit stretch would be extremely beneficial for him considering the character who had it in the novel was always able to escape whenever his class fell in trouble with demons. That'll be 500 Neden. Oliver cursed the shopkeeper, this was so expensive. What's the discounted price? He asked. I won't make much profit on it, so this does not have a discount. What? No, you must do something about it, otherwise, forget it. Oliver quickly applied the gone tactic he had learned in his previous life while performing bargaining and negotiations. The man was speechless at this moment. He hadn't made many sales since the morning and Oliver was his first customer that he had gone to bring himself. He couldn't let Oliver leave without selling something. Huh. Alright, I am willing to lower the price if you buy something else as well. It was not a bad deal. Then give me that. Oliver pointed his finger to one of the glass boxes that had a material placed under it. A black material that was somewhat transparent and mirror-like. It was known to be very light, malleable in solid form. This substance had a waxy texture in solid form. This material's melting point was one of the highest known. Not to mention it was superconductive. It was called hypon. It was generally used to make tough Esper specialized weapons. He had some use for it, so he decided to purchase it. Thank you for your purchase. Your total will be 2,000 Neden after discount. Here. Oliver quickly received a bag containing his items and paid the owner his amount. It was a lot, but even a small quantity of hypon was considered quite expensive as it was a rare material. With that, he left the shop. Back at the market, he purchased a few more things, until suddenly something happened. No way, there's no way. Oliver widened his eyes as he looked at the bag containing his things. Where the fuck is my wallet? That's right, he had been pickpocketed. Someone actually dares to pickpocket, more importantly, I did not even realize it until now when I needed it. He could not help but mutter in utter disbelief. Someone dared to pickpocket one of the young masters of the clan in broad daylight. The same clan where they were walking right now belonged to his family. Yet they dare to rob someone from that family. He frowned as he realized that not everyone was aware that white-haired people were the members of the mystic family. His clan might be popular, but the main people of the clan were always shrouded in mystery. It was no wonder he got robbed. A normal young master of the clan wouldn't allow themselves to be pickpocketed. It was just that Oliver also had heightened senses, but he was walking around like an idiot. He had never seen such magical items in his previous life. All of this felt new and mystical to him. Everything here was supernatural in his eyes, He was just so lost in exploring everything like a child in a candy store that his guard was lowered severely, which resulted in this. The clan market provided him with a sense of security, and thus he unknowingly didn't notice. Not to mention, no sane young master would walk around a market like him. His circumstances were different and he had to do it in order to buy resources for himself. I should have been careful. His eyes turned mystical once again as he looked around, hoping to find the one who had pickpocketed him. But to no avail, he could not find the thief. It was quite evident that he had been robbed some time ago, and by now, the thief was probably quite far away. Sigh. His hands went to his pocket and retrieved a couple of notes. He barely had any Nedden left now. Most of his money was in the wallet that had been now stolen. This is so frustrating. He shook his head. After thinking about it, he could not help but suddenly have dark ideas. He glanced at the few near shops and the crowd of customers bargaining. No. What am I thinking? He felt ridiculous. Although it wouldn't be an issue for him to rob these people secretly by taking advantage of the crowd, he felt it was just too low. He had read how protagonists would fall low after their reincarnations and transmigrations, and he felt it was understandable, but right now his mind was not ready to rob the innocent ones who might be poorer than him. What difference would there be between him and the person who stole his wallet? Instead, his eyes narrowed. With cosmic void gaze, he could see quite far, and there were a couple of presences that made him a little interested. Chapter 25. He followed the path all the way there and noticed a group of people. Compared to others, they looked more refined and had better-looking clothes than the normal Joe. They were surrounded by exorcists who were probably serving as bodyguards. The exorcists were hired to be bodyguards because there would be times when intense fights would sometimes break out between fellow business owners. The clan did not care about what happened inside the market area. If you die, then you die. As long as the clan was not affected. Of course, this also applied to all the official members of the clan. If you were going to enter the market and cause trouble and later get caught in trouble, then naturally, no one dared to try that. Everyone knew that official clan members would be given immunity to such rules whatsoever, so no one messed with them even in the market. Oliver blended in with the crowd that was gathering around them and asked someone about the situation. Hey, what's going on here? What? You don't know? One of the biggest auctions of the year is going to take place soon. Those people over there are important guests invited by the clan. Oliver was stunned. Auction? Indeed, there were auctions too that took place all around the year, at different scales in different places. It would seem that there was going to be an auction soon in the market, and these people in expensive clothing were probably traders or merchants invited by the clan to auction their items or buy items. Receiving an invitation from one of the 5 clans was no joke. These people must be really influential to get invited to the auction. Oliver's eyes shone with intensity as the world around him shifted. From the special eyes, he was able to see that the important-looking person was not an exorcist, but a normal human, but his body was glowing in multiple auras. Espera was flowing through vital parts of his body, such as his chest, shoulders, abdominal area. There are probably multiple artifacts on his body. Oliver concluded quickly, as there was no better explanation. He shifted his focus to the exorcists around them and his eyes immediately narrowed. They were strong. Their bodies were leaking abundant Espera. It was flowing out continuously. He could feel tense just seeing that amount of Espera through. The vibrations in the air and the fluctuations around them were quite strong and erratic. One of the exorcists within the group suddenly looked around. He felt like he was being watched by something, and it was giving him chills for some reason. But upon looking around, all he could see were normal people. Imagination. He decided to leave it at that and focus on his job. In the distance, Oliver also left the crowd and went his own way. He now wanted to participate in the auction. There were always great items listed in auctions. He wanted to take part in the auction, but he had no money. It would be useless to go there penniless. Is penniless the correct term even? Should I say Neddenless instead? He wondered as he could not think of any normal way to earn cash. Robbing strangers, robbing shops, threatening the weak with my superior strength, abusing my status, begging, blackmailing weak exorcists. Fuck. Why is my mind filled with such dark thoughts? Could it be that I am a scumbag? Oliver seriously wondered this. Apart from shady ways that would definitely land him in trouble sooner or later, he was not getting any ideas. If I must choose a shady method, then I should go with something that is the least shadiest, and won't land me into too much trouble. He thought, a variety of dangerous ideas going in and out of his mind. Young man, how about checking out some stuff? I got plenty of stuff over here for ya. Oliver looked to his side and saw a man with a small wooden stall at the corner of the road, talking to a customer. Although he barely had enough money left, he also went over to the shop. He was now thinking about selling some low-price artifacts at a higher price to make some profits. Auctions were rare and he didn't want to miss one now that he knew about it. Oh, hey there, another exorcist youngster. Come on over, I've got loads of stuff you might dig. The stall owner looked to be in his middle age with a bald head and a few yellow teeth missing. The stall owner did not care about Oliver's height and childlike appearance. There were many exorcists roaming around with stopped growth or cursed bodies, so it was not a surprise to see one in flesh, although it was quite rare. Ignoring him, Oliver looked at the items with his special eyes. He decided to start with this shop first and then move on to search more. All of them are fake and cheap replicas, Just as he was scanning the items on the counter, his eyes caught something shining. It was a marble that was shining brightly. As he focused on the round marble, the colors became even more evident. A strong aspera was flowing inside the ordinary-looking red marble. The marble was not ordinary at all. How much for that sword? Oliver concealed his excitement and asked in a low voice, pointing at a random old sword which was also a cheap replica. You got good eyes, young man. This sword used to be a possession of a great warrior in ancient times. I had to specially enter the ruins to get my hands on it. But for your cute face, I'll sell it for 2,000 Neden, how abo? Forget it. Oliver cut him short and looked around, pointing at a few more things, but even before the stall owner could complete their prices, he directly cut him off. The stall owner felt quite infuriated at this presumptuous nature. Finally, he pointed at the red round marble and asked in a somewhat colder tone. How much for that marble? 700 Neden. This time, the stall owner did not weave any bullshit story. He knew that Oliver was not a weak player. He seemed quite experienced in bargaining. 50 Neden. He put up his own price. Impossible. Are you trying to rob me? The stall owner protested immediately. Then give a normal price. I know what you are doing here. Listen, I don't have time for these scam games. Put a good price or I'll just leave. Oliver said in a bored tone. And as expected, the expression on the stall owner's face changed. Chapter 26. Forget it. I will buy from others. The expression on the stall owner's face changed when he heard that. This made the stall owner feel pressured. Even he knew that what he had brought was all trash, not worth selling. Oliver had already changed several options, and he felt that this time he might really leave. If this went on, then he would not be able to scam him. 150 Neden. Don't bargain, this is the lowest I can do. I have a wife at home and 2 kids, wait. He saw that Oliver began to leave without listening to his sad story. Alright, I will do it for 70 Neden. Please, I beg. Fine, here you go. Oliver paused and showed a smile as he handed over a 70 Neden bill. He felt quite proud that he directly had the seller reduce the price by 10 times. From 700 to 70 Neden, his skills were quite useful. In fact, this small marble that was now in his hands was probably an artifact of some sorts and could even fetch tens of thousands if sold carefully with negotiations. He could tell from the strong and turbulent aspera flow inside it. Haha. Oliver felt funny. Although he had basically just robbed the stall owner, he did not feel that bad. The owner of that stall reeked of cheap booze and had the eyes of a big scammer, who knows how many people he had scammed in the past. So it was only right for him to be scammed back. His eyes lit up. He knew that he might just be able to generate enough income to at least get one item from the auction, probably. No, there will be ultra-rich individuals, it's possible I might not get anything at all. He quickly suppressed his emotions and looked straight at the various shops ahead. He still had some spare left. So he visited various stores at random, collecting anything that looked useful but was being sold at the wrong price. In the end, he managed to buy some things. A round red marble, an ivory rope, a broken shard, and last, but not least, a shiny purple metal. And now he was officially broke with nothing in his pockets or savings at his home. Haha. He let out a nervous laugh. He was a spender, a dangerous one. It would be a terrible situation if no one bought what he had purchased just now. Now I have to sell all this. He scratched his head, thinking, otherwise, I won't even be able to buy meat for Zippy. Fortunately, there is a place just right for that. Black Codex Federation. An organization that was spread all across the exorcist world, single-handedly competing with the top 5 clans in terms of wealth and resources. It was an organization that had a huge influence and dealt with all sorts of business. They had their stores in almost all major cities, dominating all the businesses around them. In the novel, this organization dealt both in light and dark. On the surface, they were an influential merchant organization, while in the dark, they did all sorts of shady business, from taking assassination requests to infiltration. They were so bold to even provoke the top clans, sometimes during the multiple arcs. Oliver recalled what he knew of the organization. Right now, he was heading straight to their established store that was also located in the clan's market. They had to provide the clan with heavy resources and treasures for them to be even allowed to operate inside. In the novel, the Black Codex Federation had a neutral relation with Mystic Purge clan, both wary of the other. Even in the Blood Arc, they did not provoke the Mystic Purge clan. He thought as he reached before a humongous structure, shadowing everything around. A tall, well-designed building, a miracle of this world's modern architecture. The building gave Oliver an intimidating vibe. He smiled wryly, just the guards stationed at the doors were full of Aspera. As he went near the gates, the guards did not stop him, nor did they perform a mandatory check they always performed on normal visitors. So they know my identity. Oliver was not even surprised by this. If such a big organization did not have their guard memorize the important people of the place where they operate, how could they be so successful? It was not like in the cliché novels, where the guards would stop the protagonist and treat him as a beggar only to be face-slapped later. After he entered the building, one of the guards took out a rectangular device. If Oliver was here, he would instantly recognize that as a smartphone. This world was just a few years backward from his previous world in terms of tech, so it was not a shock that they had started to develop smartphones. Not to mention, this world had some strange things, thanks to the presence of Aspera and other magical elements. The guard pressed a button and said, "An unknown boy with white hair has entered the establishment." I did not stop him. I am not sure if he belongs to the main family or not. The voice on the other end was silent for a moment before it said, "No problem, I will inform madam, you did good." With that, the call ended instantly. It was a mesmerizing sight, filled with gleaming gold and silver artifacts, precious gems, shimmering jewels, and relics and artifacts radiating ancient aura. The sun's soft rays seeped in from the glass windows, casting a warm, comfortable glow throughout the pavilion. It was an amazing architectural build with exquisite mastery and hard work of the designer. At the front was a reception counter, and behind it was the receptionist. Oliver went up to her and asked, "I want to sell some things. Willing to take a look?" He made it short and crisp, no nonsense talk. The receptionist stared at his face for a moment. Even though Oliver was just a little kid, she recognized his white hair and amethyst eyes. He was definitely a member of the main family in her eyes. If some other random little kid had wandered in the store, she would have asked them to leave and not cause trouble for Candy, but she could not ignore his presence. She had strict orders from above as well. Very well, sir, please follow me. Chapter 27. Very well, sir. Please follow me to the room behind, where I will appraise the item you wish to sell, she answered in a professional tone and led Oliver to another room. This room was relatively normal, it had 2 sofas facing each other and a table in between. The rest of the room was occupied by various shelves and accessories. Well then, please show me what you wish to sell, she asked him to take out his items, although she was not an expert appraiser, but she still had her fair share of experience as an appraiser and was a little confident in evaluating the little young master's materials. Oliver glanced at her once and then withdrew, just one look from his eyes, he could tell she was not as strong as the guards outside, he could even overpower her with brute strength. But he still did not say anything, she might have extensive knowledge, or else she wouldn't be the receptionist of the store belonging to Black Codex Federation. Tap. He put his bag on the table and took a seat, comfortably, crossing his legs like an arrogant young master, he told her. All the items in that bag. I want to know the price you could provide for them. The receptionist's lips twitched slightly when she heard this, and her expression could not help but strain a bit. She was now wondering if this spoiled young master had only come here to make some extra cash off them by selling his house furniture or something. If that was the case indeed, and then later he realizes that all he brought along were ordinary things worth nothing, then it might not be good. This kid was someone from the main family of the clan, one of the heirs, probably, so if she refused him or hurt his high ego, he might create trouble for their establishment. Sigh, what a troublesome brat. She sighed internally and opened the bag to look at the items. No matter if the situation escalated, her superior would be the one to handle him, not her. She was here only to tell the honest review of the items. Her eyes could not help but widen slightly when she took out the items one by one. All of them are artifacts. She could not help but exclaim as she looked at Oliver's mocking expression. It was as if he already knew what she was thinking and how she felt embarrassed now. She shyly lowered her head and began seriously inspecting the items one by one. Oliver was provided with a cup of coffee to drink while the receptionist did her work. This does not taste good, ugh. He could not help but feel weird at the bland or plain taste of the coffee. Underscore 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 underscore. Half an hour later. Oliver was sipping his bland coffee with a dull expression. The drink had successfully managed to ruin his mood. I will definitely introduce some fine coffee to this world in the future. He made a mental note as he finished the coffee. The receptionist was also done appraising everything, and she had a flabbergasted look on her face. She coughed to clear the awkward atmosphere and said, I've appraised all of the things except this. She said as she picked up the purple medal Oliver had picked up earlier from one of the old stalls he forgot about. He narrowed his eyes as he remembered that this was the thing that had costed him the most to purchase, but since he saw the strong aspera bursting out of it, he purchased it in the end. He did not expect her to not be able to appraise it. It was indeed a great treasure. Is that so? Then what? Is this what your establishment is capable of? His tone was superior, despite being the smaller one in stature. If one looked closely, he barely reached her waist if he stood up. The receptionist frowned and quickly said, Sir, please don't think so low of us. We have experts with us, they will quickly assess the item for you. I am just an intern. All right, then bring it to them and get it appraised. Before that, would you like to know the total amount you will receive if you sell everything excluding the metal? The receptionist questioned. How much? It'll be around 300,000 Neden, sir. Oliver could not maintain his composure at the moment no matter what, she directly dropped a bomb on his head. He was not expecting his items to fetch so high. At maximum, he had expected around a 90-100k Neden, but this was unexpected. Although being able to see the aspera waves inside an object was a very difficult task even for an expert exorcist, he was able to achieve it quite easily. The receptionist could not help but show a smirk as she looked at him, losing his arrogant composure. Well then, take them away and give me the money. Also have the metal appraised quick. As you say, please wait here while I prepare your amount. With that, the receptionist left the room, and he sighed. Damn, I shouldn't act like this. I am sure 300,000 Neden is nothing to a young master of the clan. I must maintain my dignity or else they will not take me seriously in the future. He calmed down, and the receptionist returned shortly. She was carrying a silver tray, and on it, there was a black metal card placed. It had the official symbol of the bank. Sir, here is your amount. We have stored all 300,000 Neden in this card. Oliver picked up the card and put it in his pocket safely. He was not going to lose it this time. As for the metal, actually, about that, I have something to tell you. The receptionist paused for a moment before she added. My supervisor is directly appraising the metal and is very interested in the metal. She has invited young master to discuss something important. If you don't mind, I will take you to meet my supervisor. She said in a calm tone. Oliver could not help but be puzzled. It was so good that they wanted to discuss it personally? All right. Seeing her expression, he agreed. With that, he followed her as he saw her enter a corridor and then take an elevator. Upon reaching the 4th floor, they stopped, and she exited the elevator, followed by Oliver. They were now in front of a room as he saw her knock at the door a few times and say, I have brought him, madam. Enter. Chapter 28. Enter. Oliver heard a sharp feminine voice on the other side of the door as they entered the room. What greeted him was a normal room with carpeted floor, walls with a wooden finish, multiple shelves carrying various books and antiques placed in them. In the middle of the room was an office desk, and behind it was a woman sitting. Oliver looked at her stunning appearance and could not help but shake his head secretly. In the novel, it was often mentioned how beautiful the people were. The beauty standards in this world were way ahead than his previous world. A supermodel from his previous world could be a commoner on the streets, and no one would care. Only the most beautiful were looked up to and praised. He wondered if it was due to the presence of Esper in this world that boosted people's vitality and kept them young. Status. Underscore 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 underscore. Name, Oliver Mystic. Race, human. Strength, level 3. Espera, level 1. Charisma, level 3. Luck, level 2. Underscore 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 underscore. My charm is level 3. This should be considered pretty high, considering that even my tenfold increased strength is also at the same level. Seeing that he could grow up to be handsome, he felt relieved as he focused back on the woman behind the desk. She had long raven black hair. She was tall and had an athletic build with proper curves. Her beady eyes were piercing ice blue. She had jade-white skin that looked smooth and beautiful. Her eyes looked cold and had a piercing gaze, which would make others uncomfortable. The overall air around her reeked of superiority and power. She was wearing a stylish dress that further emphasized her curves. Her lips were painted with cherry red lip gloss as she threw the receptionist a glance, who quickly left the room, leaving the two alone. Her cherry red lips moved as she picked up a document and read it out. Young Master Oliver, the 4th son of the Main family, not allowed to live with the Main lineage despite sharing the same blood but no talent whatsoever, practically isolated from your own family. First time in the market and you visit small stores and coincidentally pick artifacts out of trash? She placed the documents back on the table as she once again met his eyes. Little boy, being branded as talentless, and hiding such terrifying appraisal talent? What are your intentions exactly in coming to us? She clasped her hands on the table and looked at him, just how a noble would look at a commoner. Oliver tried his best to maintain a poker face, while his heart was beating wildly. He didn't expect her to be able to gather so much information about him in such a short duration. He didn't believe that she even knew who he was before he stepped inside this establishment. What a terrifying information network. He secretly exclaimed to himself. He had not expected her to even know about all his activities in the market as well. He looked at her as a glint passed through his eyes. In the next moment, his eyes widened, and a sharp headache followed afterward. Ugh dash. He could not help but suddenly groan slightly. The woman tilted her head, a bit confused as to what happened to the little boy in front of her. In her perspective, he was just standing there trying to maintain a poker face to show his courage, but suddenly his eyes widened and he pressed his forehead as if in pain. And this was understandable. Cosmic void gaze was an inherent ability that was literally undetectable unless Oliver intended to let others know about it. It could be seen that when he asked the second brother to look into his eyes before, he intended to directly attack his mind, so the second brother was able to catch a glimpse of its power. Otherwise, it was not detectable at all. At most, others would feel someone was looking at them, but that's it. If someone was especially perceptive they might even feel threatened, but since he was just in front of her, she didn't feel any of the above. Also, it was not a shock that she was able to see through his facade of trying to act nonchalant. She was a lot more experienced than Oliver and dealt with all sorts of people, so she knew of such tactics. And not to mention, Oliver was just a kid in her eyes who was trying hard to keep his facial muscles relaxed, but was unable to do so in her presence. Fuck. What did I just see? On the other hand, his body was tingling as goosebumps made his hair stand to no end. Just now he had caught the glimpse of her power. He wanted to know what her level was and how strong she was actually. But when he saw her Aspera amount, his eyes almost got blinded. It was too strong. She was suppressing a massive amount of Esper inside her body. Her Esper was like a blazing sun, radiating a brilliant glow that filled his entire vision. It was overwhelming, despite not flowing out of her body. It was stronger than anything Oliver had ever seen. He knew the moment he saw that he was in the presence of a true powerhouse. He forcefully suppressed the anxiety in his heart. At the same time, his mind was filled with curiosity. He wanted to know what secrets she was carrying within her. Why was she in their clan with such strength? It's nothing. He smiled, a bit softly as he replied to her. I just want to make a couple of Nedden. Since you already know my situation, then you should know that I am not provided with a budget like my siblings, and I have to survive on my own. He answered, carefully considering the situation at hand. What could she want from him? She wouldn't call for him just to appraise an item, would she? He took a deep breath. I heard you want to talk to me about the metal. Have you appraised it? He couldn't help but ask. The woman was silent, observing his demeanor, before she opened a drawer by her side and placed the purple metal on her desk. It has been appraised successfully, and I must say this is quite the thing you have stumbled upon. Her tone carried a hint of amusement. This metal is not an ordinary exorcist artifact. It is the metal of eternal pain. Chapter 29. This metal is not an ordinary exorcist artifact. It is called the metal of eternal pain, she said to him. Oliver heard her, and for a moment, he stopped whatever he was thinking. Metal of eternal pain? Is this? He glanced at the metal placed on the wooden desk and could not help but be taken aback. He was taken aback not because he realized that it was a precious treasure, but because he knew what exactly it was. Metal of eternal pain? Wasn't this supposed to be in the hands of Caden Falcon, a minor antagonist in the early Academy arc? What's it doing here? Oliver was a little surprised by this. In the novel, the metal of eternal pain was supposed to be an opalescent orange color? But this is clearly different. Does it change according to its owner's Aspera or something? He quickly pretended not to know anything about it and curiously asked her, what does it do? According to me, metal of eternal pain has two effects, agony infliction and curse endurance. She tapped the purple metal with her sharp fingernails. Oliver saw how she had painted her nails with silver-colored nail polish. Agony infliction allows the possessor of this artifact to send excruciating pain to a specified target upon physical contact. the level of pain depends on the aspera of the user. Curse endurance, on the other hand, ensures that the pain inflicted by the metal persists indefinitely until the owner of the artifact wills it to stop. Not to mention, it also provides some resistance to curses in general as well. The woman finished her explanation and looked back at Oliver. Her eyes held a strange glint as she eyed Oliver. In her eyes, he was clearly a little kid who is yet to step out of his clan. Although she could not sense any aspera from him, she was not much disappointed knowing that he was extremely talentless. She was more interested in how he was able to pick out such interesting artifacts on his first try. It was definitely not luck that he managed to do all of this. She knew it was impossible. How about it? If you are interested in selling this metal, I'll give you a really good price. She asked him, feeling greatly interested in this artifact. She needed this in order to commence her own plans. A good price? How much is that? Oliver raised a brow and did not speak much. Let me guess, how does 1,000,000 Neden sound? She said casually. 1,000,000 Neden. Oliver hissed internally. He suddenly felt that this woman was very rich. But it's too low, he said. The slight moment of need in her eyes towards the artifact did not go unnoticed by him. Aware that she wanted this artifact, he decided to take a little advantage. Little? Look at your little body and brain. Do you know how the market works? What price do you think this would sell for then? The woman had an intimidating and commanding aura as she leaned back and crossed her legs, which were clad in silk black stockings. Looking at the pair of long and curvy legs, Oliver was not distracted. His mind was occupied by benefits he could extract from her. I know how the market works, 300,000 for all the artifacts I brought and this, Metal of Eternal Pain, which is quite clearly an ancient and powerful artifact. You aren't fooling anyone here, he boldly told her as she watched him in surprise. There were only a few people who could act so casually in her presence once they get to know her real identity. Her aura alone was enough to silence masses. Perhaps because he's just a little kid. She shook her head. She didn't expect Oliver to be able to sense even a glimpse of her strength. In her eyes, he didn't have much aspera inside his body, which restricted him to feel her aura. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. She felt a little amused by his behavior. It's been time since she was feeling the urge to play with someone. Then how much do you suggest, little boy? She had a smirk on her face as she said it, which Oliver felt like she did to provoke him. He remained calm against her silly acts and told her straight. 30,000,000 Neden. The woman almost choked when she heard him casually utter 30 million as if he was asking for 30 Neden. Are you kidding? Little boy, do you even have the capacity to bring that much money back safely? She felt he was intentionally asking such an outrageous sum of money. 3 million Neden. 25 million Neden. 5 million. 20 million. 10 million. 15 million. 13 million, a middle take. You accept it or leave, she firmly told him after a series of fierce negotiations. Oliver was also helpless. She was surely capable of giving him more, but was stubborn and he could not just leave from here before selling the artifact. He admitted that she was quite strong when it came to making deals, but still, he did not feel that he made a loss. At least he made her increase her previous price by 13 times, which was quite good. He knew that he might be able to sell the artifact for more, but he was in a hurry to sell it before auction, and finding a buyer who could offer such a sum of money before that was very hard. Plus he did not want to be near this artifact for a reason. So, in the end, he just accepted it. On the other hand, Oliver did not realize that the woman was thinking the same thing. He sure has a knack for business. If raised in the right way, he could make great profits in the future. Although he's lacking and easily concedes, he can improve that growing up. She was getting interested in this little boy in front of her who was carrying a bunch of secrets within himself. There was a reason why Oliver. Chapter 30. Deal. Oliver accepted the money. He believed it should be enough to buy him at least one artifact from the auction. There was a particular reason he did not take the artifact for himself. Yes, one of the reasons for that was that he wanted to purchase something from the auction and did not currently need the metal. The second and most important reason was that he knew about the bad side effects this metal had. Metal of eternal pain, with such an ominous name, had a dark history associated with it, as explained briefly in the novel. It was told in the novel that this artifact was originally found by a camper when he visited an ancient forest with the intention to explore. At first, the camper was not sure about the forest. It was rumored to be famous for its notorious death rates and ghostly activities, as claimed by the nearby residents. He wanted to prove everyone wrong and become famous. He knew of demons and exorcists yet refused to believe that something dangerous would be in the forest. He wanted to try something that no normal human had ever done before. But as he went forward, ironically towards the same direction where he found a broken skull, he started to encounter strange things. He didn't think the skull belonged to a human, it could have been animal remains. His mind would sometimes hallucinate about things that shouldn't exist in the world. Very dark thoughts started to cloud his mind as he went on silently. He was unaware that he was being affected by something. His mind was distracted towards a particular direction. It became even worse when he started to find strange dead bodies one by one. All those corpses had signs of extreme torture being performed. The corpses were rotting, but their state was beyond tolerable for the camper. He puked blood, yet, strangely enough, he wanted to keep going, and he did. It was as if all of this around him was just another imagination. The number of corpses he encountered started to increase, to the point that he could probably stack them up to form a small hill. All of them had expressions of pain. It was clear that none of them had received a peaceful death. The strange hallucinations in his mind intensified. Scenes of an unknown cannibalistic tribe flashed through his mind one after another. A tribe that was savage, cruel, and inhuman. They were demons or humans, he didn't know. They messed with something that they shouldn't have and it spilled their doom. He soon reached a broken shrine, and in the middle of everything, he found the metal. Whispers in his ears prompted him to take the metal, and he did, quickly leaving the area. But alas, he couldn't even leave the forest as he slowly died. The metal clawed at his soul as he kept walking. Unbeknownst to him, he was in severe pain, but his legs refused to stop, and he died at the edge of the forest, where people saw him and retrieved his belongings. And thus, the metal was also brought out into the world. Wherever the metal went, it brought misfortune, pain, and death. It was cursed. The souls of humans were like fuel to the artifact. People would get intoxicated by the allure of its power only to die miserably in the end. If that was it, then there was no problem, but the real problem was that every person who once owned this artifact caused irreversible damage to their surroundings. Conducting mass murder, spreading blood, experimenting with torture, all sorts of inhuman acts were performed by the owners of this artifact. It was not until a group of people called for an expert exorcist to help them. The exorcist took the artifact in his hands and instantly felt the immense, dark aspera inside the thing. He foresaw the danger it posed to both normal humans and exorcists, and thus decided to seal the artifact and keep it in his home. He didn't destroy the artifact. He believed as long as someone used it limitedly without being consumed by the strange artifact, they could use it against demons in the war. The exorcist himself had participated in multiple wars and was thus not afraid of the curse within the artifact like normal humans. But unfortunately, later the exorcist was killed by demons when they ambushed him in his home, destroying his village alongside him. Since then, the sealed artifact was lost. It was nothing more than an ordinary metal to normal humans. The exorcist, in his time, had only recorded what uses the artifact had. He never thought to write down the dangers associated at that time. But over the centuries, those records became blurred and not believable. And thus, people now only knew about what powers this artifact carried, not what dangers it had. In fact, since most of them had never seen the artifact personally, no one believed it existed, and only thought it was just a hoax artifact crafted out of someone's imagination. This was why Oliver wanted to trade this artifact for money. The risk associated was too great, considering he was not even strong enough to handle a single use of this artifact. Well then. You can collect the money from the reception, she will add it to your card. Oh wait, do you even have a bank account to transfer the money? She asked curiously, to which Oliver shook his head. Then how are you going to access the money? She looked at him speechlessly. Actually, he himself had not thought of this matter. He thought that at the time he purchased something from the auction, he could directly hand them the card to deduct the amount. But having a personal account should ease things in the future. He looked at the smirking woman and sighed. No, he'd rather do it himself than ask her. She was a terrifying person, and having less contact with her would be better. And I don't even know her from the novel, so she must be a minor overpowered character. Oliver was sure that he did not want to mess with her lest he fall into serious troubles. I will see to it myself, he said as he started to leave the room. But before he could reach out to touch the door, his body froze. He realized that his body could not move, no matter how much force he used, it was frozen still in place. Chapter 31. Did I allow you to leave? A cold voice sounded from behind him. Fuck. Oliver's back was drenched in cold sweat as he realized what was going on. She was using her aspera to lock him in his place, and since he had almost close to none aspera, he was unable to feel the flow. Fortunately for him, she was using a minimal amount of force so as not to crush him by accident. What do you want? He could not help but ask involuntarily, wanting to know the accursed reason why she was stopping him from leaving. What do I want now? She leaned on her desk, holding her chin in her hand as she observed his back. To be honest, she was not sure herself about what she wanted from him either. It was more like an intuition of sorts of hers. It told her that she should not let Oliver leave. She had been in the world of business for many decades. She had a very sharp intuition whenever it came to deals that generated massive profits. And right now, it had been tingling in Oliver's presence since he entered the room, but it became excessive when he casually took out the medal of eternal pain, so she just stopped him. She frowned when she could not think of a proper response. This made her a little irritated, given his small age and childish bearing. She was unsure of what to ask for. It was not often that she felt troubled. She could not keep him here for long either. This was a young master from the main lineage of the clan. No matter how useless he was, he shared their reputation and name even if he had an insignificant contribution. There would be complications if he kept him here for no reason. Suddenly her eyes lit up, as she tapped on her desk slightly, and Oliver's body moved on its own as he came face to face in front of her. They both looked into each other's eyes. Oliver felt she was quite beautiful, but she was a devil, so he didn't care. The woman also felt that Oliver's features were quite delicate and cute, especially his eyes. For some reason, they seemed to draw her towards them with a mysterious charm. Does he have some sort of special eyes? She made a wild guess that would explain to her how he was able to sort out artifacts from the trash. More importantly, she was quite immune to charm and mind-affecting techniques, but she felt a strong force of attraction to his eyes, which made her feel she had guessed correctly. Or maybe he had a special constitution. As expected, he should be a perfect fit. She thought of something and her eyes once again focused on him. Her lips curled and she had an expression that made others feel that she was about to offer something great. She said, "Do you want to join the Black Codex Federation?" No. Underscore 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 underscore. Far from the market in the central area of the clan was Nadia's courtyard. In the courtyard there was a metal dummy placed. The metallic body resembled a human body. In front of the metal body, there she was standing with a calm expression. In her left hand, she was holding a long red rapier with a golden tip. It was an ordinary rapier, but was made by a fine blacksmith. It was no artifact, just a slightly strong rapier to use. She looked at the metallic dummy with a serene expression, her eyes devoid of any emotion. She gripped the rapier's body and disappeared from her spot. Bang! 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 A loud series of banging sounds were heard before Nadia reappeared on her spot. She was still holding the rapier, and nothing had changed on her expression. However, in the next moment, the metal dummy, which was intact just a moment ago, suddenly broke down into pieces. The cuts were all made at weaker joints, with fine precision and controlled strength showing her level of handling the weapon. She glanced at the broken dummy and then to her rapier. I should be able to master this technique in a few weeks' worth of time, she thought, and closed her eyes. This rapier technique was called Press of the Liberty, and it was a powerful rapier technique that had the capability to pierce through tough metals and armors like paper. She was about to practice and revise another martial arts technique when she suddenly heard a small clap. Clap. She froze and looked behind her instantly. Behind her was the most terrifying existence she had ever known. Her mother. Ophelia had appeared behind Nadia without her noticing anything. It was unknown for how long she had been behind her, concealing her presence. Nadia's eyes shone in a strange light as she met her mother's eyes. She unconsciously used her abyss eyes whenever in the presence of her mother. It just showed that her body felt uneasiness and instinctively used means to protect itself. Ophelia was wearing a white kimono with black design patterns. Her graceful figure was properly emphasized by the dress. Her silver eyes was as cold as usual. It was unknown what was on her mind. She did not care about her daughter using special eyes, knowing it could not pose her a threat. Although she was clapping, there was not even a hint of happiness on her face. Her face, which resembled Nadia a lot, was a whole more expressionless. Mother, since when? Nadia said in a low voice, not bearing a hint of confidence she showed around others. At the same time, she also controlled herself and stopped using the special eyes. You have improved. Ophelia spoke a few words, but to Nadia's ears, it was the greatest praise. She did not even answer her question and directly ignored that. Nadia lowered her head as she nodded a little. She felt happy that her mother acknowledged her growth. Oliver's face suddenly came to her mind, remembering the scene where he gave her the elixir, but she quickly shook away the thoughts. Ophelia narrowed her eyes watching her daughter's antics. She felt that her daughter was showing too much emotion and that was not what she wanted. But she decided to let it be for the time being. Nadia had improved significantly as compared to the last time in killing her emotions. It was normal, she was a growing child and all sorts of emotions and feelings would course through her. It was good as long as she kept eliminating them as they appeared. Ophelia considered giving her special medicine to suppress the limbic system present in her brain. The limbic system in the human brain was responsible for regulating emotions. The medicine was something she had concocted herself. It limited the effects of the limbic system in the human brain, specifically targeting the emotions while boosting the prefrontal cortex, which was responsible for decision-making. The medicine had little to no side effects, and it helped improve the memory as well. It would improve the person's ability to take quick rational decisions in intense situations. But she wanted to wait some more years before feeding it to Nadia again. Nadia was still a child, and taking the medicine too much would reduce the benefits, if anything. She had already fed her the medicine once, so she must wait for the second round. Ophelia's eyes shone in a silver light, just like Oliver's special eyes. Unlike him, she possessed a special constitution and it was one of her abilities. With that, she looked at Nadia. Her mastery over her eyes was far superior to Oliver's mastery. Oliver was nothing in front of her. One instant was all it took for Ophelia to analyze as her eyes narrowed once again. She noticed something abnormal about her daughter's body. She calmly looked at Nadia with a piercing gaze and then said in a cold voice. Chapter 32. Punch that metal puppet with your full strength, Ophelia said, her tone more of a command as she looked at another metallic puppet in the courtyard. Nadia also followed the direction and directly went towards it without any question. Her fists clenched as she punched the metallic puppet with all her strength. Boom! Crack! 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 In the next moment, cobweb-shaped cracks appeared on the ground where the puppet was standing just a second ago. In its place was now nothing but tiny broken pieces of what was left of the metal. Your physical strength has increased by a large margin unexpectedly, Ophelia's calm voice sounded as she keenly observed her daughter, who also looked at her expressionlessly, not saying anything. This sudden boost in her strength was out of her calculations. Was this really it? Was it really due to her talent that her strength had a boost? Or was it due to some other reason? She felt suspicious. Nadia's heart stirred for some reason. She felt proud that her mother had acknowledged her improvement, but she didn't know why. But when her mother said the last line, she was asking her why. Why won't I say that I received a body-strengthening elixir from him? She asked herself this question. She felt that if she said that, something that she didn't want to happen would happen. Her mother would not sit still. The thought of what might happen made her heart clench suddenly. Looking at her daughter being silent, Ophelia didn't ponder on it for the moment. Nadia has always been obedient to her commands, and would provide her with a detailed report of her actions every time. So if there was something, she would know. I want you to be prepared. Your first demon hunt will be soon. All the heirs of the clan will be participating in the demon hunt, and I expect you to triumph over others, Ophelia said as a matter of fact. She made it clear that she would not accept anything but victory from her daughter. The demon hunt was a competition of sorts, which was part of the training regimen all the young heirs of the clan must go through. There were a total of 5 pairs of siblings in the main family as of the moment, and every single one of them would need to participate in that. It was mandatory. They must gain experience as they trained so as to be prepared for the future war that could break out at any moment and not die early. Not to mention, the clan would provide the children who perform excellently with some excellent rewards that could make anyone drool. Yes, mother, Nadia replied in a tone devoid of any warmth. She was just like an emotionless robot who followed her mother's commands and replied when asked to. Ophelia did not stay any longer, and in front of her daughter's eyes, her figure disappeared into thin air as if it was never there in the first place. Do you want to join the Black Codex Federation? These words dropped like a thunderbolt in Oliver's ears. He didn't hesitate and directly declined her offer in the next moment. No. He didn't even need to think that this woman was plotting something devious, and he was a part of her plans. He didn't like to be controlled like this and be a pawn in someone's plans. Although being a true member of the Black Codex Federation was something exorcists would kill for. Joining the Black Codex Federation as a true member was extremely difficult, and only through invites from already present members could one enter the ranks of the Black Codex Federation. Oliver felt like he was giving up too many benefits at the moment when he replied with a flat no, but he suppressed the feeling of loss. If he became involved with such a mysterious and powerful woman with unknown intentions, he wouldn't know how it would affect his life. The woman who heard his instant rejection was stunned for a second before she asked. Are you aware what you declined? You must not, right? She felt Oliver was being ridiculous, but considering his tender age and lack of knowledge, she felt that he was just being oblivious. The Black Codex Federation was an extremely influential organization with its influence on par with the top 5 clans. It had no lack of resources either for its members. Artifacts one could only dream of or martial or exorcism techniques one had only heard legends of, everything was there. Not to mention, the unparalleled security the organization offered. Half of your opponents would admit defeat if they knew you belonged to the Black Codex Federation. The organization was controlled by extremely powerful people rumored to be on par with elites of the top 5 clans. It was a superpower in its own league. I know of the benefits. I have read various books about the organization, and I also know that you represent the organization, but I must decline the offer, Oliver refused with a bleeding heart. The woman looked at the little boy in front of her. She felt even more stubborn now. She now wanted to get him even more. If she decided on something, then there were few who could stop her. Your clan treats you as heir, your talents are not recognized by your own clan. You are forced to live isolated from others. Your existence is not known to many, despite being one of the heirs. She put her hands down on her desk as she continued. The Black Codex Federation will not neglect you like your clan. Your talents will be polished, and you will be far above from where you are currently. Not only that, you will have access to the organization's massive network and resources. And you still refuse? What is there that is stopping you? Are you afraid that your clan won't leave you if they become aware of your change in affiliations? If so, you don't have to worry about that. Until you leave your clan boundaries, there will be nothing that could relate you to us. I can guarantee that. She paused for a moment and added, after leaving your clan once, you can operate independently. If it's still not enough to convince you to join, then what is? The woman folded her arms and crossed her legs as she looked at Oliver with a strict gaze that wanted answers. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Damn, she said so much, but all of this makes sense. She is so terrifying in negotiating. He could not help but suck a cold breath of air to calm his mind. She was too strong. He calmed down and thought for a moment. Joining the Black Codex Federation, if I. Chapter 33. But looking at it from a wider perspective, joining the Black Codex Federation is not a bad option either. Although I will be risking becoming involved in her plans if I did join, but will that even matter? He seriously asked himself. I have the system and could grow stronger than anyone else if I remain patient. Getting too concerned with my security is not optimal here. Plus she's right, the clan does not provide me with resources I should have. Oliver remembered how he had to beg for money and various permissions to enter the central area of the clan through maids. Even some maids were better treated than him. He felt that he was already strong enough physically and should be allowed resources that would be provided to an exorcist who has taken the physical exorcism path. He didn't have any weapon technique he could train, nor any martial art technique either. Neither did he have any Aspera techniques. He was really too miserable if not for the system. He had just purchased the 6 thoughtful steps of the spirits of his own money, and it was just a movement technique for exorcists. Although now he finally had some cash, but he knew it was temporary and all of it would most likely be used up in the auction. And finding artifacts that were treated as trash in the clan market was not easy at all. There were appraisers everywhere and hardly would they leave an artifact alone. It was not as easy as it was depicted in the novels he used to read, where the protagonist would keep finding artifacts every now and then. People of this world were not stupid. Looking at Oliver's hesitant face, the woman secretly exclaimed that he was too cautious. Even after providing him with such strong arguments and benefits any exorcist would kill for, he still hesitated over his choice. She decided to give him a final push. If you join right at the moment, I will allow you to choose a rare rank artifact for free. Oliver, who was thinking about his life, heard this and was stunned. He felt like he was hearing things. A rare grade artifact for free? It was common knowledge to exorcists that artifacts also had grades that they were divided into. It was based on the power they possessed, their availability, their history if any, and some other factors. Artifacts were divided into 5 ranks in general. Common artifacts. Uncommon artifacts. Rare artifacts. Epic artifacts. Legendary artifacts. Underscore 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 underscore. Common artifacts included basic weapons with enchantment, accessories with simple Aspera functions, or some cultural symbols. Uncommon artifacts were less common than common artifacts, but still relatively accessible. These included specialized weapons, Aspera talismans, and other special weapons. These artifacts were often related to history or had ties to being used by someone significant in the past. Rare artifacts were highly sought-after artifacts by exorcists. They possessed a great deal of power. Not only that, they had significant historical importance in the world as well. These included powerful weapons with special abilities, relics with unique powers. Some of these artifacts even had ties to legendary or mythical creatures. Epic artifacts were very rare to find. They were often legends that many had heard of but have not seen in person. Naturally, they carried extraordinary amount of power and value, being capable of changing history of the world itself. These artifacts had immense Espera abilities, were tied to relics of ancient civilizations. Legendary artifacts were the most powerful and revered of all. They were the crown jewels of any collection, had godlike powers and importance. No one knew much about them, how they were born. Some assumed they were forged by gods as relics of creation and destruction, while others believed they were formed by natural world-altering events. There were no clue if there was any legendary artifact in the world or not. These artifacts could alter reality itself. Underscore 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 underscore. Oliver heard that she was willing to give him a rare rank artifact and was rather stunned. Did she really wanted him to join the organization so much? Or was it for everyone who joined the organization to receive an artifact or something else? One had to know that rare rank artifacts were not easy to get hands onto. For reference, the Medal of Eternal Pain that he had sold to her before was an epic rank artifact. Alright, I will accept your invitation and join the Black Codex Federation. He decided to join the organization. In the novel, this organization was quite deep and had many mysteries. Not to mention there would be many events in the future where he could use his knowledge of the novel to extract enormous benefits. Not only that, he could also remain as a member of Mystic Purge clan officially while also being a part of the Black Codex Federation. The Black Codex Federation has played an important role in the world during many arcs, not to mention it also had a dark secret that he knew about. From his knowledge, he was sure that they would be more than happy to have a member that was also a part of the 5 great clans. It was akin to having a mole in another country's government at a high level. Many decisions could be influenced. The woman who heard him felt quite happy inside. She had finally gotten what she wanted and was deeply satisfied by her victory. Sure enough, she could make others bend to her will as long as she was rich, had many resources. But after calming down, she realized she was being too happy. She had to give him an artifact to convince him to join. Who even does that? People would beg just to be related to the organization, and he was being like this? She scolded herself for being too hasty, and now she felt that she might have looked desperate to him. She won't take back what she had said. She was a woman of her words. Shaking her head, she looked at the little boy in front of her, who was also looking at her, curiously. I am Jenna. Jenna Sullivan, and you will be under me from now on. She got up from her chair, and Oliver got a view of her full body. She was lean and had proper curves of a lady. She had long legs and thick thighs, whose appeal was enhanced by her outfit. Follow me, she ordered and went up to the bookshelf. And under Oliver's excited gaze, she shifted one of the books and a secret passageway revealed itself from between the shelf. This was the dream life. Oliver had always wanted to experience something like this once in his previous life, entering through a secret tunnel located right beside him in ordinary places. He quickly followed after his new boss as he saw her enter the stairway. Finally, they reached the secret room and he was amazed by what he saw. Chapter 34. The stairway was not too long and they both soon came into a room with black tiles. Oliver could not believe that there was such a space present in such a building, and most likely this room was built using space manipulation using Espera. He felt all of his senses were blocked in this room. He could not even feel Jenna, who was right in front of his eyes. Take any one of the artifacts present in that area. All of them are rare-ranked artifacts, Jenna simply said and pointed to a corner of the room where a bunch of instruments were placed in an orderly manner with name tags underneath or beside them. Oliver did not stand on ceremony and quickly went over to take a look and get an artifact for himself. You have so many, he could not help but say. Jenna, who heard his awe, crossed her hands under her chest as she said with a hint of arrogance, of course. Who do you think I am? Looking at her, Oliver suddenly felt that she seemed somewhat gullible. Although she still had that aura of superiority and power around her, looking at her actions and listening to her words, he was not sure if she was gullible or he was a fool. Earlier, she offered him an artifact to join the Black Codex Federation. which made him feel she really wanted him there. But he could not understand why. Was it for his appraisal ability that she seemed to think he had? If so, then she shouldn't have been like this. He knew how many great artifact makers and experts were a part of the Black Codex Federation. He was just a little kid. Not to mention, he had no clue about her from the novel, so it was likely that she was also some random side character like him. A powerful side character who belonged to a superorganization but never met or interacted with the protagonists of the novel. And I also don't have an impressive Aspera either. I would say my Aspera is as low as that of a normal human. He thought that there was no way that she sensed he had an abnormal Aspera for his tender age either, since he didn't have any to boast and for her to sense. And although he had a great amount of physical strength, he had not done anything for her to know of it either. He knew that he would not receive the invitation to join such a big organization for no reason. There had to be a deeper reason. But since he had no clue about it, he was just rolling with the situation since joining the organization was in his good at the moment. There were many things in life that people had no control over and had to adjust accordingly. He also knew that not everything would occur as he wanted it to, there would be differences, and he was preparing himself to be prepared to face those. He looked at the numerous rare rank artifacts and used cosmic void gaze, and confirmed that all of them were 100% real. He looked at them one by one and their descriptions. A bronze-headed mace that dealt twice the damage than a normal one. A cloth keeper crop that was created for defense, looked quite old and had a long list of previous owners. A copper scythe, for practical use, has the ability to harvest Aspera from flora and fauna to a limited degree. A marble-headed warhammer capable of shattering robust shields and bones with a stun effect. A cursed sickle that cannot be sheathed until it has killed, bloodthirsty, and a dark artifact like that metal. I don't need these. I want something that can be incorporated into my daily life so that others don't even suspect it to be an artifact. These artifact weapons seem too big and flashy. He withdrew his gaze and looked more and sorted out the artifacts that could be used in daily life and look ordinary in appearance. After a full 10 minutes of endless search, he finally managed to sort out 3 top choices that he could use. The Wrap of Quantum Darkness, as the name suggests, it allows the owner to manipulate the element of darkness to conceal presence, but use depends on the mastery of owner. Energizing Sun Shoes, shoes that can absorb solar energy and grant the wearer an enhancement in speed and agility, further boost when exposed to sunlight. Movements become fluid and swift. And lastly, an artifact named Helm of Wings, which allowed its owner to fly for a short duration and some protection from projectiles, providing defense in battles. Oliver wanted all of them, but knew he could not have all of them. After thinking hard for another minute, he looked at Jenna and then said while holding the artifact, "I want this." Jenna raised a brow at his choice of artifact. Underscore 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 underscore. Well then, come with me. Since now that you are an official member of the Black Codex Federation, there are some things you need to keep in mind. She said in her serious and strict tone, her black hair flowing behind her back as she walked back upwards and sat down at her desk. He quietly followed her back to the office room. He couldn't help but ask her once again. Wouldn't my age be a hindrance while joining the organization, Boss Sue? Oliver nicknamed her as Boss Sue, short for her surname Sullivan. Jenna, who heard him, dismissed his worry as she replied, "No. Age is just a number for us exorcists. We could extend our lives by hundreds of years easily and still maintain youth." The youngest to join the organization was as old as 13 years, due to their ability. "So you will be just a little younger." Oliver was speechless. Didn't that mean that he has become the youngest ever to join the Black Codex Federation? He shook his head. She was indeed correct. Exorcists didn't have ordinary lifespans of humans, but could live as long as they continued to get stronger. The stronger an exorcist was, the greater their lifespan. Chapter 35. Exorcists had pseudo-immortality in a sense. To normal humans, they were like deities walking in plain sight, and that's why exorcists were respected everywhere in the normal world of humans. Not to mention, humanity was being protected by exorcists, so they naturally shared a higher status in society overall. But there were strict rules set by the clans for exorcists not to meddle too much in normal human society unless it was for demons or something important. It was believed that exorcists and normal humans should live separate lives. There have been incidents where heretics would abuse the powers of exorcism to rule over a village or small town of humans with tyranny. Of course, such heretics were quickly hunted down as soon as the news reached the clans or other organizations. Demons were already enough of an issue, so they could not afford to let their fellow species cause more trouble for them. Now that the war was at a stalemate for the time being, these heretics were being hunted down actively by other exorcists. Exorcists were also humans, but at the same time, they were different from normal humans. It was best to draw a clear line between the two, as there have been since ancient times. Other than that, there were many rich normal humans who hired exorcists and whatnot. Firearms, technology, and everything was actively supplied to exorcist clans to make their lives and war easier. Here. Take this. Jenna opened a locked door in her desk and retrieved a black chip with a cursive letter C written on it in golden color. A chip? What is it for? To inject it into your bloodstream, she said calmly. What? He could not help but doubt her words. Inject the strange chip into his bloodstream? That sounded so uncomfortable and dangerous. Even in his previous world, no one ever dared to experiment with something this crazy on a human before. Yes. You heard that right. Don't be a kid, I mean, a coward. This chip will directly register your blood signature into the organization's main database and allow you access to their virtual network to connect to. Not only that, this chip would also serve as proof of your loyalty to the organization. She looked at his hesitant and uncomfortable face and knew that he was worried about something foreign entering his body. Don't worry, it's not painful at all, just lightly press the chip against your skin for a few minutes, and it will automatically enter you. Oliver felt this was quite terrifying. The Black Codex Foundation sure lived up to its name as he had read in the novel. It was not that he was worried about the chip or anything, but he just felt uncomfortable letting something inside his body, something foreign like this chip. From the novel, he was aware that this chip just served as a connection between the individual and the Black Codex Federation's main database. Almost all members of the organization were given one at their joining. Jenna probably said the words like loyalty and all to keep him aware that he must never betray the organization in the future, as the chip would keep him in check. But he knew better. There were many ways he could hack into this chip and cheat the system. The chip did not have any monitoring function in it and was just a slightly advanced piece of machinery to maintain connection and authenticity. There were many unknown details, but he believed he could find them himself. Not to mention, the organization cared a lot for its true official members and won't do them any injustice so long they don't harbor any evil intentions towards the organization itself. Plus, any exorcist would not accept the idea of being controlled by someone or being monitored. While the organization had guts, they were not bold enough to upset their own members. He remembered the faces of some of the characters with extremely erratic personalities, but yet they were treated like elites in the organization. Well, anyways. He decided to give it a try and pressed the chip against his left arm, holding it still for a minute before he felt a cool sensation around the area. He saw in excitement as the chip slowly started to assimilate itself into his skin before turning invisible. Using cosmic void gaze, he could easily see the chip flowing through his arteries, slowly shrinking until it was as small as 1/10 of a fingernail. It might be done to prevent a member from trying to extract the chip through manual means. He could see how the small chip had mixed deeply in the blood, finding which was impossible. Oliver knew that this chip was very advanced technology that the Black Codex Federation's best engineers have had developed. It was definitely prone to various medical analysis machines and wouldn't be detected in them either. Well, he could still spot the chip through his special eyes. No big deal. Great, you are now officially a true member of Black Codex Federation. I'll provide you with the starting kit that all members receive upon joining," she said as she opened another drawer under her table and retrieved a black box. Oliver curiously looked inside and found a variety of things inside the box. Firstly, there was a syringe containing a seaweed green-colored liquid. She looked at him and answered his curiosity. "This is an attribute awakening essence. It's a potent essence extracted from a mysterious site. Upon injecting this, it will help you awaken a random attribute to your aspera. All the members receive one." He heard her say and couldn't help but ask, "What essence is this? Which attribute will it awaken?" "It's completely random. The place from where this essence was extracted and refined from is also unknown. It depends on your luck which attribute you can awaken when you inject it." She paused before adding, "The only thing that I can tell you is that this was refined by the most skilled alchemists of the Black Codex Federation. You can inject it when you go back." He nodded, looking at the other things. Jenna then picked up a device and handed it to him. "What's this?" he asked. "A smartphone. I am aware of that. I wanted to ask what this thing is to be used for?" He clarified. He wanted to know if this was just an ordinary smartphone or had to be used in specified circumstances only. "Why do I feel like a spy?" "This is a normal smartphone both in appearance and function, but I'll provide you with an access code that upon being used will allow you to enter the organization's secure web as well as the common exorcist web of the world." Pulling out a piece of ivory paper, she wrote a special code onto it and gave it to him. Chapter 36. You can use it as you please. There are many things that are sold on the exorcist web. From online resources to specialized training modules. Of course, you can't let anyone know of this. Memorize this code and destroy it afterward. She handed him the piece of paper. Oliver looked at the code, and it was indeed quite long and complex, but he was able to memorize it quickly. Maybe it was due to the presence of aspera that his brain worked faster and much more efficiently. To be honest, he was quite shocked that he got the access to not only the exorcist web but also the Codex network so easily. Naturally, he knew of the exorcist web. It was the network that connected exorcists all around the world. This place was primarily used for resource trading and information trade. A normal human with no background would never be able to access this web through any means. It was not a place where they would be allowed to mess. He had thought that he wouldn't be able to access the exorcist web until he joined the academy in the future or left the clan, considering how strictly the web was monitored and regulated by the clans. But such an unexpected scenario occurred, and not only did he get the access to the exorcist web but also the entry to the Codex web. Yes, the private network of the Black Codex Federation. He memorized the code and input it at the same time to see if it was working properly, and indeed it was. He could see a search engine and a variety of forums with different topics, all related to exorcists. He closed the phone and said, "This is quite convenient." As expected of the Black Codex Federation. Jenna looked at him and pondered about how he might be one of the youngest in the history to have access to the exorcist web. She felt like she was the old lady who would give children candy and then take them to travel around the world in her van. No, this felt illegal for some reason. She shook her head of such thoughts. "That's all, the rest of the stuff is some basic documentation. Feel free to burn them after reading it, or the ink will disappear on its own in a week." She handed him the black leather box and explained simply. Crossing her legs, Jenna could not help but think if it was the right choice to let a kid like him inside the organization just due to a moment's instinct. Was she being whimsical, or was there really something deep about this little boy? She had authority high enough in the organization to invite members, but expelling them required a series of discussions with other high-level members. So, in a sense, Oliver was more or less now a permanent member. It was one of those times where she felt indecisive in her life. But she could not help it. She felt a really strong hunch when she saw him casually bring out multiple artifacts and even an artifact of epic rank as well. "All right then, I will leave." Oliver also bid her farewell, He had spent too much time in the marketplace, way more than he had expected. He must get home quickly and start practicing the technique he had bought. Zippy! I am back, Oliver announced as he returned to his courtyard, and soon a beautiful and white cat came near him. He looked at her and was impressed. Her disguise technique was very terrifying. White fur, she looked just like a cloud in the form of a cat. He picked her up and went inside, but he suddenly froze. I forgot to buy meat. He looked at the white cat in his lap, and she also looked back at him. The cat was clearly making an expression that said, "Where's the meat you promised?" He suddenly felt tongue-tied, not knowing what to say to her. "We will have meat tomorrow. Today we must finish the leftovers from yesterday." The clan guardian. He coughed lightly and put her down and quickly excused himself to the kitchen. Hastily looking around, he searched for anything that had been left from before. Usually, it was the maid who cooked his meals, but he knew how to cook himself, albeit he was still a novice in cooking. Creak! Creak! He opened one shelf after another to look for ingredients he could use. The clan guardian would definitely be suspicious if he didn't feed her well. Over the days, he had got to know her personality a little bit. Although she was not a cat exactly, her behavior was easily that of a cat. As long as her belly was full and she was fed regularly on precise timings, she would remain calm and happy. If someday, due to his training or whatever reason, he forgets to feed her, she would act grumpy and even scratch him. Sigh. He suspected that the clan guardian didn't even require eating, yet this cat was quite demanding. Well, at least I don't have to clean after her. Oliver tried to think positively about having the clan guardian as his cat. Ultimately he found some rice and uncooked fish. His eyes lit up. He could definitely coax her with this. He quickly cooked rice with vegetables and cooked the fish, not forgetting to season it according to her taste. He made the rice for himself and fish for her. Soon, a strong aroma spread in all corners of the courtyard. The clan guardian, who was earlier infuriated at being lied to about meat, was instantly attracted. Meow. She jumped over and quickly came near the table where Oliver ate his meals. A freshly made fish was soon placed in front of her. Just smelling the aroma was enough to make her salivate. She had eaten countless delicacies in her lifetime prepared by the best of chefs in the clan, but it has been a very, very long time since she tasted this simple and good food. It gave her a comforting feeling, and that's also why she ate his cooking regularly. She felt that this life was not half bad.